I don't like them. Others do, but I don't. What don't I like? Watches from Breitling, Hublot, and Audemars Piguet. Yes, I don't like Audemars Piguet. Call me wrong, call me silly, some may call me crazy. I don't like them, and I'll tell you why on this episode of Adventures with Time. As a watch collector for over 3 years now, I've looked at a lot of watches from many different brands. I've tried a lot of watches on my wrist, and I've seen a lot of watches in pictures from brand websites and YouTube videos. I must say there are a lot of watches that appeal to me and that I would want to have. But as I discussed in an earlier episode, I need to keep my collection to a manageable size and can't buy every watch I might find interesting. If I only could. However, this video is about the opposite situation. There are a few very popular watches which are not to my liking. I want to discuss those in this episode, explain why I'm not a fan, and get your view as to whether I'm the odd man out or if there's some others who feel the same way. Now, full disclosure, I have not tried these watches on my wrist or even seen them in person. Maybe I'd change my mind if I had some hands-on experience. And remember, as I've stated in other videos, don't buy or reject any watch simply because of my opinion or those of others. We all have our own likes and dislikes. One person's junk is another's treasure, and vice versa. All I want to accomplish in this video is to share my thoughts and see what yours might be. With that fine print out of the way, on to our first watch. The Breitling Navitimer, an iconic chronograph geared towards pilots and other aeronautical-oriented individuals. The Navitimer certainly has an auspicious history. First released in 1952, it was touted as a wrist-based computer for pilots. It had a slide rule and could perform other calculations required for air flight. This was a true pilot's watch, apparently first available only to those in the aeronautics field, but it became a watch appreciated by many watch enthusiasts. Today, the Navitimer comes in many sizes and style varieties, most with the original design featuring the rotating bezel, slide rule, and other tools. It's these iconic Navitimer B01 chronograph watches of which I'm not a fan. Yes, I don't like them. Primarily to me, they are too busy. There are 4 outer tracks with scales divided into different intervals and numbers. Sure, it's neat with some interesting functionality, but it's over the edge. And those subdials only add to the hectic appearance of this watch. Even the coin edge bezel seems aggressive with its alternating polished and matte surfaces. And I'm not a fan of date windows at the 4:30 position, especially having the date number at an angle. Might I feel different if I actually tried it on my wrist for a few days? Perhaps, but I don't think so. I really can't see having it as part of my collection as a general wear watch. With a price tag ranging from the mid-$8,000s to over $9,000 for the stainless steel model with Breitling's in-house movement, it's not something I'd consider. And I'd even go as far as to say that I don't like it. My dislike for this next watch, and perhaps the entire brand, may be shared by more people who dislike the Breitling Navitimer. This is the Hublot Big Bang. Hublot has several collections in their brand. However, let me explain my initial curiosity for the Big Bang and why I don't like this watch. Hublot is a relatively young major watch brand. Founded in 1980, it built the brand nicely up until the early 2000s when interest started to diminish. After Jean-Claude Biver took over as CEO in 2005, Hublot launched the Big Bang chronograph. Now, Hublot seems to have established itself as a major brand with, perhaps, a bifurcated popularity. One either loves or hates the brand. Hublot considers the Big Bang its flagship model. It clearly maintains the porthole design traits for which Hublot is named. My particular interest in the Big Bang stems from Hublot's partnership with the World Poker Tour. Several WPT events award Hublot watches to winners, with the Big Bang being awarded to the WPT World Online Champion. As an amateur poker player, I played at both casino-based and online tournaments and have been watching WPT tournaments on television. so I've seen Hublot watches paraded at these events for several years. But what do I think about the Hublot Big Bang chronograph? Again, I'll caveat this discussion with the fact that I've never seen any Hublot watch in person. In hindsight, I wish I'd visited the New York City boutique when I spent a day visiting watch brands back in 2019. Next time, maybe this summer. However, I feel I've seen enough through various online content resources to express my dislike. The Big Bang collection is available in 8 styles, and within the Big Bang original style, there are 43 different models, ranging in size from 44 millimeters down to 38 millimeters. This 44 stainless steel model comes with the Hublot branded HUB 4100 movement, which is really an ETA 7753 that has been modified for Hublot's use. This model, and essentially the entire Hublot brand, are bold and massive industrial watches. It seems they are considered luxury sports watches with a perhaps undeserved reputation of being gaudy or showy watches preferred by the nouveau riche. But let's not get caught up in any argument on either side of the Hublot dispute. Let me explain why I don't like this watch. No matter from whatever perspective you view it, the watch appears massive and very industrial. That's just not a style that appeals to me. No matter what its actual thickness, this watch is thick-looking with large angular elements. It reminds me of the Weiler Code R chronograph I showed in a video about a year ago. Like the Breitling Navitimer, it might be fun to wear it once or twice, but not something I want as a permanent member of my collection. And I do question the price tag. What makes these watches worthy of a $12,500 expenditure? Is there something special about this watch that I'm missing? I described my difficulty in evaluating watch prices in a recent video, and the Hublot Big Bang is an example of this issue I have. If I was a fan of this watch, I'd still have trouble spending that amount on a watch that doesn't seem to have anything special other than its design approach. What do you say? By the way, I'll leave links to my Weiler and Value Proposition episodes at the end of this video. So, you may be saying now, Bob, if you don't like the design of the Hublot, you probably don't like the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. Well, that's true.
You don't like Royal Oak? You call yourself a watchman? You're silly.
I hope I don't get too much heat on this one. I know that the Royal Oak is on lots of grail lists, and I also know that the Royal Oak is a very fine watch. Audemars Piguet is a Swiss watch brand established by Jules Louis Audemars and Edward Auguste Piguet in 1875. Today, they are a well-respected major brand with several collections, but let's focus on the Royal Oak. And boy, are there a lot of Royal Oak models. In their current catalog, they have over 100 Royal Oak models, ranging in size from 44 millimeters down to 33 millimeters, with many in stainless steel, but also precious metals, and with different complications including chronograph, minute repeater, and tourbillon. Let's consider the 15500 model, a stainless steel three-handed watch with date. Of all the Royal Oak models, this is the most basic. However, the Royal Oak has the same design traits I don't like, as does the Hublot. That porthole design with screws on the bezel, and here with an octagonal bezel to boot. The case has angular features, including a crown that looks like a bolt head. The beefy appearance is intensified by the integrated bracelet, which continues seamlessly out from the watch head. And to me, this bracelet has a harsh machine look to it. I fully understand that this is a luxury watch with a deliberate design. I can see how people love this watch. In-house movement, superior finishing, and a distinctive design style. Certainly a well-respected watch that is going to celebrate its 50th anniversary next year. This has to be a fan favorite, but I'm not one of them, especially at a price tag of over $22,000 US. But as James Bond once said, never say never. I've never tried on this or either of the other two watches. Maybe one of these days soon I'll head out to the boutique to see one on wrist and find out that I've been wrong. Wouldn't that be a laugh? Now, some observant viewer who has seen my State of the Collection 2020 video will note that I have a Seiko Samurai, which is also fairly angular and bulky. If I have that watch, why don't I like the Hublot or Royal Oak? That's an interesting question. The Samurai is a dive watch, and I consider it a beater watch. I wear it at the beach or when in situations where a watch might get, well, beaten a bit. At these times, I want a substantial watch, and the Samurai is just that. But as I've mentioned, the Big Bang and Royal Oak are luxury sports watches. I wouldn't wear them under these harsh conditions, and they don't fit my style for other occasions. Maybe I'm conservative in my watch preferences. After all, look at my Tudor and my Ball and some of my other watches. But does it really come down to being conservative in my style? Or does it come down to the fact that I don't like these flashy watches or that porthole design? Maybe I need to embrace my wild side a bit more. And again, maybe I'd feel differently about these watches if I tried them on. I will do that and let you know. So, have I ruffled some feathers? That's not my intent. And if you feel I'm knocking your watch selections, please know that that wasn't my plan either. I'm just expressing my taste, and I'm curious how others feel. So share your thoughts in the comments below and let the fun begin. After all, there is no universally loved watch, is there? Now, as promised, here are links to the videos I referenced during this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video, or dislike it if that is your opinion. And I'll see you in my next video.